What's up, guys? Welcome back. We are back to another day in our beautiful property, but we didn't have the best week. One of our baby chicks got sick somehow. We woke up in the morning. He wasn't, or she wasn't moving very well, had a little issues, so we've been hand feeding it, and luckily we called one of our patrons.
Yep, Big Dog. Shout out to Big Cat. She's like a bantam, kind of like a expert. Small chickens, all sorts of animals. So she got back to us, and I was able to reach out, and she came back and had a few things that I hadn't really considered yet. And she came through with a lot of knowledge, and I learned a life lesson, which is good. It's helping me open up and learn, absorb more things. Sometimes I can be a little hard-headed, and I really enjoy learning things in life on my own. But when it's a matter of life and death, I think you gotta use the people that came before you and learn from their tutelage. But either way, hopefully it goes well.
Yeah, the baby chick's still alive at this moment. We don't like giving up. So we're keeping an eye on it, and we need to continue building this coop so we can get this mansion built for our other babies.
Yeah, that's one of the things we learned, is that we could use a bigger, better coop, more space. That's going to help them thrive as well. So we're not giving up. We're well over the 24-hour mark, 36 hours or something like that. So we're taking our time, and we're not giving up. We're not giving in. We're going to save that sweet baby. On this property, we have tons of bamboo, and I mean literally tons, thousands and thousands of pounds, maybe hundreds of thousands of pounds. I'm not exactly sure. But here in Puerto Rico, bamboo, I've been told, is a protected species. You're not allowed to cut them down willy-nilly, but when they fall down, you can repurpose the ones that have fallen. The life cycle of bamboo goes pretty quickly. They grow incredibly fast, and with the wind and rain that comes through the mountain, they fall over pretty quickly. So when you have this much, there's always plenty laying around that's able to be used, as long as you're repurposing ones that are already damaged and not cutting down the fresh stuff. So with the bamboo, we're thinking about, to save down on cost for this chicken coop, we're thinking about making the roof with bamboo. As we know, bamboo is round. I'm thinking I can split it down the middle and get 2 channels to catch the rain, and then use a channel or a C over the top to layer it to make it completely waterproof. I think it will be possible. Since I've been working on it, I think it's going to still be just as heavy, and I probably should have just used a piece of plywood and been done, but it's going to at least look a lot cooler, and I'm repurposing old bamboo. Having ourselves a nice little summer shower here.
Thank God Matt carried that all up that mountain because it's pretty slippery, pretty muddy, and I almost ate it 100 times. But our first step is that we have to now cut these bamboos down the middle, and then we got 2 halves. So let's get to it. We don't have a lot of time.
So when you're using this old repurposed bamboo, you want to pay attention before you just slice it. You would think you could just start anywhere and rip it down. You want to take that extra second and look for splits that it might have gotten just through drying out and splitting, or when it fell it might have split. So if you see a split here, we're going to want it to remain waterproof, so everything else looks good. Pretty good there. Got a little split there, so you want to check and see that your splits line up, which they do, so that you don't split it this way and then you're going to end up with quarters. Next step to make it a nice channel is I have to take this little, I don't know what it's called. I'm sure there's a term for that piece in the middle. I just call it the middle piece. So I got to knock that out with a hammer so the water can flow freely. Alright, so now I have to put a slight angle on all of these so that they fit together because our roof is pitched. So I got to run that down. It doesn't have to be perfect, but the closer it is, the better. I think it's going to be easier just lining them up and lopping them off. They're not measured perfectly at the bottom anyway, so they go up and down, and they have these little branch knots on them that keep getting cut. So it was a fantasy to think I could just run this all across, but I'm gonna have to break them down one by one.
So the next step is that we have to line them up on here and mark the edge so we can have a uniformed, as best as we can, edge. We don't want them to be all janky, kind of like Matt's roof on the abandoned house.
This is what you call más o menos in Puerto Rico. I think it means more or less.
So it's gonna come out good because I'm on this project.
So we ripped that as a team, got it done real fast. She did the marks, I did the cuts. Like we said, it doesn't have to be perfect, so these things can go pretty quick. Now we have to put the slats in, line them up, and put them where they're gonna go. The time-consuming part of this, though, is you can't really nail anything except for maybe finish nails into this bamboo. You have to pre-drill everything. You can't just drive it through. You have to pre-drill, line it up, otherwise it will split, and then it will no longer be waterproof, and all this hard work will be for naught.
For naught?
For naught. I think that's how you say it. With it.
Matt has been gathering more bamboo for this roof all morning, and now it's time to attach the top pieces of the C's to keep the water from coming in. So we got to get to it. We want to finish this roof today and get the door started and a whole bunch more, so we got to get right into it. Okay, I'm holding on my spot.
So what's next is I need to screw in the pieces. So I'm gonna pre-drill, obviously, so we do not split the bamboo. And then once that side's drilled in, we'll be able to go off that for the next side, and everything should be rock solid, hurricane-proof chicken coop.
It's looking cool.
I think so.
We are still working on the roof. Matt's gonna do the other side, and I'm going to attempt to start painting it. Are we ready for paint? Not exactly, but we're going to do it anyways. I chose a green. It looked a little bit different, the color I asked for, than what the color it looks like I got, but it does look like it's similar to bird poop, so I think this is gonna be really great for camouflaging. So let's see how this goes. Hopefully it looks okay. Well, that didn't work yesterday. It started raining as soon as I started, so I'm getting back in it today. The color, now that it did dry on there, is clearly the one above the color I chose, but it's just a chicken coop, so it is what it is. We're gonna get that color. I think it's gonna look fine overall, and we're moving forward today. Alright, so we got about 90% of it painted. I'm gonna have to do probably 2 coats, maybe 3 if I really want to get crazy. But the color actually came out pretty good. I think, like Bob Ross says, it was a happy mistake. So I'm feeling good. How do you feel about the color? I think it's cool and trending. So if I see anybody with chicken poop color chicken coop, I know they saw mine.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe it could have just been like lost in translation. Maybe we said we're painting the chicken coop, and they might have heard chicken poop and said, "Oh yeah, we got just the color." So it looks good. It blends with the nice tropical surroundings.
Cool.
It's
It's
cool.
cool.
She's like Bob Ross. I'm like Rick Ross.
But I've been working the dumb roof. I'm gonna call it dumb roof at this point because we could have just put some plywood pieces and been done in like less than an hour. Instead, we did this tropical bamboo roof. It's taken way longer than we ever could have expected in our entire lives, and we're struggling a little bit on the top cap piece because it's just hard to fit over the other pieces.
If you want a proper like finished aesthetic, bamboo's pretty hard to work with. It's incredibly fragile for splitting. It frays pretty easily, but it does, you know, there are some, from a technical standpoint, that makes the channels, so if you were in like a life or death situation, you could make a waterproof roof with a machete if you really had to get buck wild, which would be great. And that would go pretty fast, but as far as the amount of time it's taken for us to try to make it look clean, it's hard to make.
It takes a lot more bamboo than you would think.
It's hard to make something round be square.
3 or 4 long pieces, but no, that's 100 pieces.
Well, there are 2 feet pieces, and every length takes 20 pieces each side, so you have 40 pieces both ways. So you have 80 total pieces at 2 feet long, or 3 feet long. So 80, I have like 300 feet of bamboo. So think about how long that football field's worth of bamboo.
Anyways, we're jumping into the door. We're probably not going to get this done this week, but we do have really positive outcomes so far, knock on some wood, about our baby chick. So we'll catch more up on that towards the end of the video. But let's get into making this door.
Let's go. so we got a chicken door here. My roosters were hanging out with me all day, helping me build, telling me you're doing a good job. Every now and again, they didn't like a certain angle or a certain cut. They go just like that. They go. I was gonna make this door 2 foot. He said he wanted a 2'6". So we went ahead and did that. Got a nice chicken door here. She flows freely. She's strong. I could stand on it if I wanted to. I'm definitely not going to, and I definitely could not if I wanted to. But it's going to be good enough for a chicken door. It's going to be nice and solid. When I open it up, I can easily walk in here, carry things. Obviously, I didn't make it height-wise, but it's fine. You can hunch over a little bit. We lived on the boat for 7 years, hunching the whole time, so this won't be that big of a deal.
We have a lot more work to do, but we ran out of time this week. This week has been non-stop rain because of the hurricane that's going by, Tammy or whatever it is.
Hurricane Tammy, yeah.
We had the chicken, our poor baby chick get sick, so we were really handling that. Tell them what happened. So
yeah, the chick put us down multiple days because we saw it at like 9 in the morning, standing in the corner with a dribbler hanging out of his butt, and Kristen said something's wrong with the chicken. So I came outside, said, okay, this is looking bad. They're so fragile, there ain't nothing to them, so any little thing can put them down. So we said, okay, let's get them and let's take them to the store. Maybe they know what's wrong. And the mites were a little bit bad. I was cleaning the cage every day, but I've been kind of trying to keep distance with the chicks because I didn't want to stress them out. I wanted Roxanne to bond with them and not really make them panic all the time. So I've been staying a little bit away from them and just cleaning the coop. But the mites were a little bit bad, and that's one thing we saw was the mites when we picked them up. So we said, well, let's go to the farm store, the feed store, get some mite treatment, ask them maybe if they know what's wrong. But they're like, I don't speak good enough Spanish to deal with a problem like that. So we kind of struggled. But they gave me some mite spray, which worked really, really well. So that was the first step. Get the mites down, get the chick a little more comfortable. And they gave me some feed with a syringe that I could measure how much I was feeding it, and I would feed it every 2 hours. So for that first day, and then we went and got a heat lamp too, so that we could get the temperature up, because it was a little colder than I thought it was, than they're supposed to be. So for that first whole day, we ran around, and then even when we got back, it was every 2 hours needing to feed the little chicks. And then the second day, it seemed like he was kind of bouncing back, but he wasn't wanting to eat as much. So he was a little more movement that second day, but we basically had to hold him. So like to keep him warm and to keep him like stimulating, because he would knock out and he would lay his whole head over and just kind of face down in the grass. But if you'd pick,
almost on his way out.
But if you would pick him up and like, you know, pet him a little bit, he'd wake up and you could drip him. And I got to give Kristen the trophy on that one. She like patiently for like 2.5 hours one time had this probiotic solution.
I wasn't gonna let him die.
And she was just putting a drip like on the outside of his beak, and then he would like, I mean, it took her like 2 hours to get through a half a teaspoon of liquid for this chick. So she was killing it on that one. And then basically after that, the probiotics got in. A friend of ours, you know, big cat from Louisiana, she messaged us on Patreon. She'd been leaving like very thoughtful comments. I try to get as many comments as I can, but it just sounded like she really knew quite a bit about chickens and livestock in general, and she has the same kind that we have. So she said she's had a lot of success. She's been doing it her whole life. So I messaged her, and she called. It was the next day though, and that kind of rougher day where we were kind of backing and forthing, like, how many days can we hold this chicken and cuddle with it?
We knew it had some sickness.
Yeah, it had something. Yeah, we couldn't figure it out, and we Googled it. And if you want to go down a rabbit hole, Google "my chick is sick." It's 10 trillion different things. But this lady, I was telling the symptoms and what we had been treatments we've been given, and she came right away with like, it probably has coqui. It's 99% chance on that. So she was like, this is what you got to do. You have to get this XYZ. And she was running through the laundry list. And I said, yeah, I'm probably not going to be able to source any of that stuff. She was very professional. And I said, I'm not going to be able to find probably any of that. And it's going to take 2 weeks to get the stuff from Amazon. So she sent me a laundry list of things that I could get. And I went around several different farm stores, ferreterias, and one place did have the name brand Amprolium, something like that. It's a what's antibiotic, and I had to run around saying antibioticos. I was trying to say it, and I just can't kick that one out right. So it was. I did find it though, and then once we dosed it directly, it's a solution concentrate you mix with water. So we dosed the chick directly, gave it some food, kept it separated from everything else, and kept it on the heat lamp, and then it bounced back quick.
Yeah,
the 24-hour,
fast.
the 24-hour turnaround once it got on that Amprolium was really quite amazing. So then when we were feeding them, it was struggling so hard that it would actually jump out of our hands. So we decided to put it back with the hen, with Roxanne, and let them sleep through the night and kind of get back to, we still obviously watched it, but let it run around, let it start to eat. And then also the lady told me a tip. She said, you're going to want to treat all your chickens. If one has it, they probably all have it. You might as well get all these antibiotics for the next couple days through all of your chickens so that they start to feel better. And I believe they have. We sprayed Stupid Dumb Baby with the mites because we didn't have those at all until he showed up, and he came from like a wilder place. So we bathed him down. He's been looking better. He's been happier. So all in all, got some really great advice.
Chickens are harder to take care of than you'd think.
Well, I say there's a hot and cold to that. If you approach them in a way, which most chicks, people are like, you lose one. You're going to lose one.
We're not losing
And I said,
one.
hell no. I was like, no way am I going to do it. I'll sit here, I'll sleep with this thing.
Knock on some wood.
I'm never going to approach it that way. Maybe later, but this is our first batch. So we're just fresh farmers. We don't know what the heck we're doing really out here. And we're not going to set the tone with our animals that way to where we just say, oh, well, only the strong survive. So I said, hell no, I'll chew up the food and puke it in this baby bird's mouth if I have to. So we didn't want to lose one. We didn't want to lose one, and we said, nah, dog. But a lot of people say you can just let a chick go. And
yeah, we didn't want to just let them go.
Well, a lot of times they say you don't want that weakness in your flock, though. It's not wrong. If you're a bottom line farming type deal and you're doing this for money or a livelihood, you may not be able to take the time for that. And so I'm not shaming anyone that lets a chick die. That's the last thing I want to do, because I went down a dark path and I was on the verge of a full-blown mental breakdown.
We named him or her Frank. So it's Frankie or Frank. We're going to see. We still don't know if we have any roosters or hens, but right now he's doing really great. Or she. I keep calling it he.
We're on about day 4.
Frank the Tank.
Frank the Tank is what I do. About day 4, every morning I come out, and when he's running around, I go, Frank the Tank! Frank the Tank! And he goes, meep, 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 meep. So it's a harrowing story of overcoming adversity. Frank the Tank didn't give up, but he wasn't making it easy on us.
We're having a lot of adventures on this land, way more than I could ever imagine. It's been wild, but we're having a good time. But we are still working on that chicken coop. It's coming out cool. Stay tuned with us for next week. We're gonna finish that. We have a lot more other things to do though besides the chicken coop, so we're gonna get that done. Hopefully the rain stays away, and thanks for watching, guys. Check out our Patreon if you want to see real-time updates, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.